Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Tonight, we're going to be breaking down last night's monster 11-game slate. It was a very exciting night of basketball if you got to tune in. I hope you did, because we talk always about how important it is to watch as much NBA as possible as we go in and out of each slate, man. An excellent night here in the sweatshop. A lot of cats got to the money, man. I just want to take a second, shout out a couple cats, man. We want to shout out at Crazy Biggs out on Twitter, man. He took second place in a really nice tournament. Good payday for him. Shout out, salute. He definitely busted 300 club wide open. I believe his score is about 341. Excellent game from him. And the sweatshop logo is right there, man. And that's always a good thing. The next guy is going to be at C Breezy TX. Now, this dude had a monster night. A monster night. I'm very proud, very happy. He shouted me out, let everybody know, hey, man, he did this from being inside this DFS sweatshop. Awesome night for him. Dude stuck to his core, man. He said he went to Fantasy Labs and did a little bit of this roster building and using the tools that they had over there. And he said he stuck to his core. He did what he knew to do from the DFS sweatshop, and it paid big dividends for him tonight. So at Crazy Biggs on Twitter and my homie at CBreezyTX on Twitter, y'all are tonight's kings of the DFS Sweatshop. Y'all had a wonderful night. I'm glad y'all did. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our regular formatting of the show. We're going to go ahead and do a Core 4 review. This is where, we take you get to test me. You get to test how real I am. This is where I sent out a tweet letting everybody know that my Core 4 plays have been either uploaded to the website and released in the VIP over on Facebook. And not a bad night from the Core 4, man. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Now, all together, I spent about 27.8K in salary, and I noticed that on the larger slates, my Core 4 is a little more expensive than they are on the smaller ones. Not the 5 games or less, because I don't do a Core 4 in that. But I mean, inside like 6 to 9 games, it's a little bit more cheap. My Core 4 is, but I decided to kind of spend up a little bit and make it, because I was going to roster 3-point guards. I'd love to have 3-point guard look, and there was a couple guys that I really just wanted to get in there. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. The first guy is going to be DeAndre Jordan. Now, he was 7.2K in salary. About 14% in ownership. He did play in the later game, and he went out and had a decent game. 35.75 DraftKings points. Not that 6x value that we were looking for, but a pretty good showing from him. It was a blowout. If the game was a lot closer, we would have seen a way bigger game, I believe, from DeAndre Jordan and for Chris Paul, for that matter. He was on fire, man. The next guy we're going to talk about was not a very good play. Justice Winslow was somebody that a gut feeling I just had. I knew that somebody in this Miami team was just going to go off, and my gut feeling was that it was going to be Justice Winslow. That proved to be wrong. At 5K flat, he was only 6% in ownership. He went out and scored 21.75 DraftKings. He did not snowflake me, so he didn't kill the Core 4, but it definitely was not the performance that I envisioned when I added him to my Core 4 and decided to build rosters around this guy. The last play, well, not the last play, but the next play we're going to talk about is going to be Dame Lillard at 8.5K, 6% in ownership, and I can guarantee you the ownership was that low because the game was such a late game. 6% ownership. The dude had 53.5 DraftKings points, obliterated that 6x value for me. Really nice play there was Dame Lillard. And the last play, the last play, the Core 4. This gentleman was 7.5% owned, 8K in salary, and went out and brought you back 55 DraftKings points. 2 nickels was what he did. Kemba at home with the holes. I'm telling you, I love Kemba at home. He went out and he saved my night in a lot of different spots. So this Core 4 was supposed to bring me back 172.2 DraftKings points in order to meet that 6x value. They brought back 166. So I fell 6 shy, 6.2 points shy actually off of that 6x value, and it took Justice Winslow overtimes, like 2 overtimes, to get to where he got. So I'm glad for those because it would have been a very horrible showing, and we would have had a snowflake in the core four, and that can't be tolerated. So now, now, one thing that I do want to let you know about the roster building with the core four. It's not where I just take these four guys and I put them in every lineup. I have a fair amount of lineups with these guys in it, but I end up mixing and matching, and I go with this core four, and I try to keep it around that 25K in salary because I am going to pay up in other spots, and I want you to be able to pay up in other spots if you go with this same roster build. There was no, you still could with this core four, you could have still had Boogie, you could have still got LeBron, you could have still got um, Isaiah Thomas, other guys that really performed really well tonight, and that's what we do when we're talking about this core four roster building process. Now we're going to jump into the feature four players of the night. These are four of the most talked about, tweeted about guys in the DFS sweatshop, on Twitter, and in the Facebook VIP. We're going to start with a who dat scoring all them points over there player of the night. And this is the guy that I should have rostered from that from that Miami game, man. This dude at 5.2K, 4% in ownership, goes out and gets you 50.25 DraftKings points. An excellent game from Tyler Johnson. If you had him in your lineup, there's no doubt in my mind he brought you that much closer to the cash line. He had an excellent game, and I had this gut feeling that this game, something about this game was telling me to get a piece of it. And I had a couple of other guys in some spots, but I had no Tyler Johnson anywhere. He was only 4% owned. He was a great play. If you had him, I know he helped you out a lot. The next play is the how did I miss that play tonight? Now this goes especially for me because I should have known better, right? I was kind of counting on the Denver and Clippers game to kind of be a blowout and to get out of hand, but I didn't think it would get so out of hand to where we just wouldn't see guys give their all. I didn't think so. So this next play, the how did I miss that play, is going to go to JJ Redick. This dude came out and was lights out on fire in the first half. I mean, he went nuts. 4.3K in salary, 8% owned, went out and brought you 39.25 DraftKings points, almost a 40 WAP. Excellent game from you, JJ Redick, and that's why you are the how did I miss that player of the night. The next play is going to be the heat check player of the night, and there's no debating this. This dude just had a monster game. We're talking about Boogie Cousins, man, at 11.2K, 11% in ownership. Dude went out and got 82.25 DraftKings points, had a monster game, and he is actually the reason why I didn't 6 times my buy-in. I faded him. I didn't have him anywhere, and I think I had him in one lineup. I had him in one lineup, and he had an excellent game. He went turkey ham. He went crazy, and brought me down to where I only was able to triple my buy-in. I was at almost 6 times my buy-in right before the game really got down to the nitty-gritty, and that's part of the lure of having that late night hammer guy. That guy that can hold off everybody from running you down when it gets late. And we knew that the ownership should have been much higher on Boogie. At 11.2K, the matchup he was in, the ownership should have been higher on Boogie. A lot of us just didn't want to wait till late that night to see our points being scored. And for those of you that did, it definitely helped you out because you zoomed past a lot of us. And actually, man, 82 points, that ain't nothing to shake a stick at, man. So now we're going to go ahead and get to that one motherfucker. This is the one motherfucker who ruined a lot of lineups. This dude was higher owned than Boogie, higher owned than JJ Redick, higher owned than Tyler Johnson, and they all scored more than him. This dude had a shitty game for what we thought we were going to be getting. Now, the reason why I'm even highlighting this dude this way is because I've been telling you for the longest, you can't play this dude, man. You can't play this dude. This dude has a minutes restriction, but he ain't got no salary restriction. And that's why tonight, you, Joel, Mr. Embiid, you a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass. And it ain't even all your fault, man. It's the fault of the people rostering you. The reason why the price keeps going up is because people keep on rostering the man. There's an algorithm set in place that deals with ownership and the points that he makes. How well he does and how much people own him drives the price up. There's an algorithm in place. and we still driving the price up because the dude was 16% on at 7.6K and went out and got 23 DraftKings points with your snowflake ass. Joel, you a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass, and I ain't gonna roster you again. I'm not gonna roster you until you get up off that minutes restriction. Then I might be able to take a look at you. Now let's go ahead and jump into my very best DraftKings lineup, and I do this just to show the transparency, let you know exactly who I've been playing, and just to make sure you know that the guys I'm talking about are the guys I'm playing. So we're gonna go ahead and crack this open and take a look and see exactly. I'm gonna show you my best DraftKings lineup. Show you how well I was able to do tonight. Now I had quite a few lineups hit the 300 mark, but this is where we're starting. Right now, and I'm gonna tell you tonight. To me, a lot of guys say that they didn't have like a good night, they couldn't cash, and I get it. I get it. I go through that myself. But tonight was not a hard night to to find players that you liked and to really do well. Tonight was not a hard night. There's been way harder nights than tonight. So we're gonna look at this lineup. Now I already knew before I released the core four, before any of that happened, we already knew that the two industry chalk plays were gonna be Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. We knew that. We knew that, and I was surprised that Kyrie Irving's ownership, the ownership on him was about 14%. It should have been higher because we knew that the usage is going to go up whenever we didn't see Kevin Love. So that's really what helped this roster take off. We had the Kyrie Irving as well as the LeBron James, kind of a mini stack on the Cleveland side. Now, DeAndre Jordan, of course, was in our core four, so we liked him here. And I wanted to attack the New York Knicks rebounding, and we talked about that on the last show, and that's why I went with Thaddeus Young here. But he had a really good game scoring the ball as well. He scored 35.75 DraftKings points, a really nice game from him. Now the play that I just threw in there, a guy that I just took a shot on because I knew the ownership was going to be very, very low on him, was Isaiah Thomas, and he went out and got 65.75 DraftKings points. That's what really set this lineup apart from some of my other lineups and from in the tournament that I was in. Montrezl Harrell was also another industry chalk play, but he was more or less, an injury play. Because we talk about that when we talk about the Core 4 roster building process, which you can find on the DFS Sweatshop website. Go check that out. And that's why I was able to get him in there. And I had some lineups with him and Nene in it. And I had some with Nene, some with Montrez, some with both of them. And that's the way I wanted to attack that. Nikolai Vucevic rounded out this roster, and he was just the guy that I had enough money for once I did all the shit that I did. So this lineup here brought me back 325.25 DraftKings points. It was my best lineup on the night, so it was a pretty good showing. I had it in a few different tournaments, a few different spots here, but tonight was a really, really, really decent night to play some DFS. We can look here, and another lineup that we have. This one scored 307. And of course, we look at this lineup. We've got Jeff Teague, who we talked about on last show, has been playing really well. LeBron James was a staple throughout most of my lineups today. We all knew that was going to be a good play. I like Julius Randle a lot today. I took a shot on Drew Holiday, and he didn't kill the lineup, but he only had 30 DraftKings points. Hassan Whiteside had an excellent game, and I wanted to attack Boston rebounding. We do that, and I had Michael Green in here to do that. You all know how I feel about Gerald Henderson. I mean, pretty much, y'all can look at a slate. If you know me by now, you can look at a slate and kind of tell which way I'm going. So this is another lineup that had 307 DraftKings points. So I had a pretty decent night. It was a pretty good night in the sweatshop. Let's go ahead and jump into a quick recap of last night's games. And we do this so that we can know where we've been, give us a better idea on where we're going. Now we're going to start in Orlando, the double overtime game. We're going to start with Serge Ibaka. in his 40 minutes, because the game did go into 2 overtimes, he played 40 minutes and had 20 points, 9 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. That was a pretty good game from him. We saw a really nice game from Evan Fournier, man. At 26 points, he had 5 rebounds and 4 assists in his 43 minutes. Nikolai Vucevic, we just talked about him. He had 26 and 12 to go with 3 assists and 2 blocks. Nice game from him. Elfrid Payton off of the bench had 22 and 2 rebounds to go with 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. There was so many stats in this game because it went into overtime. But on the Miami side, Justice Winslow, he played 46 minutes, bro. This dude led the team in minutes. He played 46 minutes and got 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and did most of that in the overtime period. Hassan Whiteside had 32 points and 15 boards to go with 1 steal and 5 blocks. Pretty good game from him. Tyler Johnson dropped 32 off of the bench and had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Pretty nice game from him. We saw Josh Johnson get into the action, had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. And Goran Dragic, man, he snowflaked out on us. He had 19 points to go with 4 rebounds and 5 assists for him. Not a great game at all. On the next game we're going to talk about, it's going to be my New York Knicks at the crib taking on the Indiana Pacers. We saw a really nice game from Carmelo Anthony, man. He got into it all the way, man. Carmelo had a really, really nice game. 35 points for him, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And you're going to get this from Carmelo Anthony. You're not going to be able to roster him, slate in and slate out with confidence because he's just not going to score 35 points all the time. But when he does and you're on him, it can definitely help you out in those tournaments. Because we saw he dropped 69 a couple of weeks ago, and the ownership was low, just like it is right now. Tonight, it was very low. Porzingis, in his 33 minutes, had 21 points and 8 rebounds to go with 1 assist. Pretty good game from him. He also had 3 blocks. And we finally saw a double-double from Joakim Noah. He had 11 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. A nice game we saw from Derrick Rose at his price point. I believe he was 6.1. He had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks. Nice game from him. And something that we know, man, Jeff Teague, you can score against Jeff Teague. I like point guards that go up against Jeff Teague because he's kind of more concerned with his offensive game. And we're going to check that out real quick. He had 17 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds with 1 steal and 1 block. That is Jeff Teague in his 37 minutes. We saw a nice game from Miles Turner. He had 21 and 9 to go with 1 assist, 1 steal, and 4 blocks. Not a great game from Paul George. He had 16 and 5 to go with 3 assists and 2 steals. And Thad Young, we talked about him already. In his 36 minutes, he had 21 points, 7 boards, and 1 assist. Pretty good game from Al Jefferson off of the bench. In 15 minutes, he had 18 points and 3 rebounds. That was pretty nice. The next game we're going to talk about is the Philadelphia 76ers at home against the New Orleans Pelicans. Not a great game at all. We saw on the Philadelphia 76ers side, man. They got spanked. They just got spanked. And we saw Robert Covington try to keep him in the game in certain spots. In his 34 minutes, he had 11 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Joel Embiid, we talked about him with his snowflake ass, had 11 and 6 to go with 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. And only played 24 minutes because they were getting blown out. Jahlil Okafor in his 25 minutes had 11 and 7 to go with 1 assist and 2 blocks. And Gerald Henderson, the only guy I really liked on the team at all, had 13 and 3 to go with an assist and a block. We also saw 26 minutes from Ersan Ilyasova. He had 14 and 4 to go with a block. Pretty not so good game from him. On the New Orleans Pelicans side, Anthony Davis went nuts. 16 rebounds, 31 points, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Great game from him. Terrence Jones, in his time off the bench, he played 27 minutes. Of course, it was a blowout, so he was able to get some scrub love. He had 17 points and 10 rebounds to go with 3 assists. Nice game from him. Drew Holiday, who we talked about already, had 9 assists, 4 rebounds, and 12 points. And T.J. McConnell was a pretty decent play back to the Philadelphia side. I forgot to mention him. I had him in a couple spots. He had 10 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Pretty nice game from T.J. McConnell. Bud Hield, in his 20 minutes, had 10 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. We didn't see too much from Solomon Hill, not too much from anybody else off the bench. Etuan Moore had 15 points and 2 assists. Next game we're going to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets at the crib, at the Beehive, taking on the LA Lakers. I almost went to this game tonight. I couldn't get off work in time. If I could have, me and the wife would have shot down there, man. I went to go see Kimba and the hoes at home. All right, starting on the LA Lakers side, we saw a pretty decent game from Nick Young, man. He shot the ball really well, but he didn't do anything else. He had 24 points and 2 rebounds. That's it for Nick Young. D'Angelo Russell, in his 25 minutes, had 15 5 rebounds, and 5 assists to go with 2 blocks. And a pretty decent game we saw from Jordan Clarkson off of the bench. He had 25 points and 3 rebounds to go with 5 assists, a steal, and a block. Now, this game, they were talking about, oh man, Brandon Ingram is from North Carolina. There's people coming from all over the world in this small town of they go to North Carolina and watch him play. Brandon Ingram, Brandon Ingram. He had 28 minutes. He had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. That's it. On the Charlotte Hornets side, though, we saw some pretty decent games from a lot of players, man. Nick Batum, in his 37 minutes, had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and 1 steal. And my main man, Kemba Walker, flirted with a triple-double. He had 28 points, 8 boards, and 10 assists. Pretty nice game from him. Marvin Williams even had a decent game in his 29 minutes. He had 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And we saw a nice game from Cody Zeller at his 4.9K price point. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. With Frank Kaminsky off of the bench in his 18 minutes, he had 11 and 3 to go with a steal. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Toronto Raptors at home against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, we saw some pretty decent games here, man. I'm pretty excited about Jeremy Lin being so cheap right now and running this offense really well. He played 25 minutes and he had 12 points and 2 boards to go with 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Really nice game from him. We saw Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, RHJ, who I was high on early in the season. Not so much at this moment, but he did have a good game. In 20 minutes, he had 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. And that was because Sean Kilpatrick was playing like shit, man. He had 8 points and 1 board to go with 3 steals. Not a great game from him at all. We also saw in Scrub Love, Justin Hamilton, man. He had 5 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, and a block. Pretty good game from him at that 3.6 price point. That's always good when you get somebody that cheap to score that well. On the Toronto side, we saw a pretty decent game from Damari Carroll at his price point. He had 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Nice game from Jonas Valanciunas. He doubled in 22 minutes and had 10 points and 14 boards to go with the block. Kyle Lowry, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Really nice game from him. Didn't see a great game from DeMar DeRozan. Kind of didn't have him in any spots at all. Didn't really like him. We talked about it last night on the show, it being a Kyle Lowry game for me, and that's where I did go for that scoring. Norman Powell, in his 26 minutes off of the bench in Scrub Love, had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 5 steals. Pretty good game from him. The next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, they're going to be playing them again tomorrow. And I really think that there's a possibility that some guys on the Cleveland side could definitely be resting. So we want to keep our ears out on that, keep our eyes out on that to make sure that we know who's going to be playing. And I hate that. I would hate that. I hope one of them play. At least Kevin Love, somebody. Because it would suck to have to go through that whole, Cleveland is a value play again. And, have to dig through the dumpster to find out who is going to be available to play. Because we even saw that J.R. Smith got hurt. And he may have broken his thumb. So LeBron James, in his 47 minutes, the game did go into overtime. And not much happened in the overtime. It was a wasted overtime. LeBron had 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists to go with a steal and a block. Tristan Thompson doubled in his 25 minutes. He had 12 boards, 10 points, 1 steal, and 1 block. Kyrie Irving had a really nice game. 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists for him. And Channing Frye chipped in 15 points to go with 3 rebounds and 2 assists in his 24 minutes. On the Milwaukee side, we saw another decent game against LeBron for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He had 25 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. But Jabari Parker, man, he had 30 and 9 with 3 assists, but he missed the 2 free throws that would have sent the game into double overtime. Not a good look for him, but he had a decent game. John Henson in 26 minutes had 14 and 8 to go with an assist and a steal, and that was really all we saw. Matthew Dellavedova tried a little revenge and had 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists to go with 1 steal. Not a great game from him, but for his price point, it was okay. Next game I'm going to talk about was a game that had a lot of fantasy goodness in it, and the pundits were talking about it all day. Oh, I'm not touching this game. I'm fading this game. I don't want anything to do with anybody in this game. Blah, 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 blah. And that was bullshit because the Memphis Grizzlies are not. Mike Conley is not the same right now. He is playing hurt, and we know Isaiah Thomas is a quick, shifty, drive to the bucket, but he can actually shoot the jump shot too. So that made him in play for me. I had him in a few different spots. And Isaiah Thomas went out and had a really nice game against Mike Conley. And in 38 minutes, Isaiah had 44 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Really nice game from him. Al Horford double-doubled, had 14 boards and 17 points to go with 3 assists and 1 steal. And Jay Crowder, in his 39 minutes, had 13 points and 7 boards to go with 2 assists. This game did go into overtime, too. Kelly Olynyk, in 25 minutes, had 10 and 3 to go with an assist, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. And on the Memphis side, we saw a pretty decent game from Mike Conley. He had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Not a bad game we saw from Marc Gasol either. 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. And JaMychal Green had 12 boards, but he only had 7 points to go with an assist and a steal. Not a great game from him. But Troy Daniels, man, in his 35 minutes, he had 24 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals for him. The next game we're going to talk about is the Houston Rockets at home against the San Antonio Spurs. This was a very good game, a very entertaining game. It was a good game all the way down to the end, man. And we're going to start on the San Antonio side, where Kawhi Leonard just does not play well against Houston. Actually, he has not been playing fantasy well at all this entire season. In 36 minutes, he had 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals. Pretty good game. LaMarcus Aldridge double-doubled in his 35 minutes. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 17 points, and 5 assists to go with a block. We also saw a double-double from Paul Gasol. He had 10 and 10 to go with 2 assists and 2 blocks for him. Patty Mills, in his 23 minutes off of the bench, had 13 points to go with an assist and 2 steals. Not much else we saw. Manu Ginobili was a decent play. In his 19 minutes, he had 12 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, and 3 steals. On the Houston Rockets side, we almost saw another triple-double from James Harden. He had 31 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists. Really a decent game from him. Kind of didn't justify how big that salary was, but I mean, you'll take that from James Harden. 54 points is not too bad. We saw Trevor Ariza for 35 minutes, and he had 16 points and 6 rebounds to go with 2 assists, 4 steals, and 1 block. Nene, in his 18 minutes, had 10 points and 7 rebounds to go with 2 assists and 1 steal. Montrezl Harrell, he played 22 minutes and had 9 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Pretty good game from him. And also Sam Dekker had 10 and 7 to go with a triple, 1 an assist, steal, and a block. The next game we're going to talk about is the LA Clippers at home against the Denver Nuggets. This game blew out. It was over from the beginning. The Nuggets were never in this game. This was never a game. And I'm pretty glad about that because I didn't have Chris Paul everywhere. He was definitely one of the ones running me down. Guys had Chris Paul and Boogie in the same lineups. Danilo Gallinari in 31 minutes had a decent game, 17 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists. Kenneth Faried double-doubled again in his time off of the bench. He played 27 minutes and had 11 rebounds and 15 points to go with 1 assist and 1 steal. Will Barton chipped in 22 points to go with 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals off of the bench. And Wilson Chandler kind of underwhelmed in his 28 minutes. He had 13 points and 4 rebounds to go with 3 assists. Emmanuel Mudiay stunk up the joint. This dude didn't score a point. He had 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Horrible game from Emmanuel Mudiay. On the Clippers side of the ball, Luc Mbah a Moute had 14 and 3 rebounds to go with 1 assist and 1 block. Pretty nice game from him. DeAndre Jordan had 13 and 13 to go with 2 assists and 1 block. And Chris Paul was like on his way to a triple-double, a big one. But the game was a blowout, so they yanked him out. He had 16 points, 8 boards, and 15 assists with a steal in 26 minutes. Didn't see too much from anybody else except J.J. Redick. He was the how did I miss that play tonight. He had 27 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists to go with 1 steal. And the mistake I made was I played Jamal Crawford over Redick, thinking it was going to be a blowout, and I would see a lot of good Jamal Crawford at the end game, and that's not what happened. He didn't play very well in the time that he did have. He did play 18 minutes towards the end of the game, but he didn't play well at all. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Golden State Warriors blowing the motherfucking doors off of the Utah Jazz. Gordon Hayward, man, he stank it up, man. 26 minutes, he had 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Not a good game for him at all. We did see a double-double from Rudy Gobert. He had 16 boards and 11 points to go with 1 assist and 2 blocks, and he did play 31 minutes. A real center got 31 minutes against the Golden State Warriors. It wasn't enough to win the game, but that's encouraging when it comes to Utah. They really believe in Rudy Gobert. Joe Ingles, he got a lot of scrub love and scored 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals for him. Trey Lyles had 11 and 3 to go with 1 assist and 1 steal, and we know that Derek Favors did not play in this game at all due to the rehab protocol that he's been in. The Golden State Warriors, on their side, not a good game, and we didn't need a great game from Kevin Durant. He only played 24 minutes, and he had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. Not very fantasy friendly. Draymond Green had 15 and 11 to go with 4 assists and 5 steals. And Steph Curry had 25, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals in his 30 minutes. Not a good game from anyone else, with the exception Klay Thompson had 17 and 5 to go with an assist and a steal, but I faded this game completely. If you remember the show last night, I was like, yo, fuck this game. Stay away from this game. I didn't want any part to do with this game at all. The next game we're going to talk about, and the last game on the slate, is going to be the Sacramento Kings going against the Portland Trailblazers. This game was in Sacramento, and it was a really entertaining game. Very close game down to the end. There was just too much sauce. Boogie. It was just too much boogie in it. Mo Harkless on the Portland side doubled in his 24 minutes. He had 11 points, 10 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Nice game from him. Myers Leonard had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Nothing else from him. We saw Mason Plumlee have a really nice game. 27 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. CJ McCollum, he was shooting hot as shit in the first half, and he did end up with 36 points to go with 2 rebounds and 4 assists with a block. Pretty nice game we saw from Dame, man. We talked about him earlier. Dame had 24 points, 15 assists, and 4 rebounds. Nice game from him. Didn't see much else on the Portland side, but on the Sacramento side of the ball, Boogie went off, man. 40 minutes for him. He had 55 points, 13 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Nice game from Boogie. Darren Collison, he snuck up the joint in his 21 minutes, and he had 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. And actually, Ty Lawson played a much better game than we saw from Darren Collison. In his 29 minutes, he had 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 8 assists to go with a steal. Pretty good game from him. Not much else we saw. We saw Aaron Aflalo for 30 minutes. He had 11 points and 1 rebound with 1 assist. Not too much else what we saw on the Sacramento side. And now that we've recapped last night's games, let's go ahead and take a look forward to tomorrow. And we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and pull up the player pricing pool just so that we can get a good look at what we have to look forward to tomorrow. Now, this is my sweet spot. This is the 8-game. We've got a nice 8-game slate tomorrow, starting off at 7 o'clock with the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Bucks on the second leg of the back-to-back. So that's going to be a really good spot for me, and I'm going to just count this as a win. I'm going in tomorrow. I love 8 gamers. I've been waiting all week for this. This is right. This is where I'm at. This is my sweet spot. We're gonna jump right in. Put up the player pricing pool, and we do this so that we can get like a good first look. Because a lot of times the best decision you can make as a DFS player are going to be the first decision that you make. So we're gonna go ahead and jump straight in and look at all the pricing and see where guys are and where they fit in, and if we just like them or we don't. So this is where we build our player pool in our head, that we transfer to paper, that we then graduate that from the paper to the core 4. We're going to start with Russell Westbrook. He is the highest priced player on the slate at 12.6. This is an 8-game slate. I do not feel the need to roster Russell Westbrook. I'm good. Nah, I don't want him at all. I don't. Against the New Orleans Pelicans, nah, I'm good on that. James Harden at 12K flat. That's another salary that's very high. I do not like it. So look at this. The drop off from the top 2 guys, 12.6 for Westbrook and 12K for Harden. The next salary is 9.7, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's a big drop. That's a big drop. So we can play in this area and get some of the same production that we're going to be looking for up there, because I doubt that these guys justify those salaries. Look at it, man. 6 times 12. So this dude gonna have to score. He gonna have to score 72 points just to make it worth my while. Nah, I'm good on that. All right, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo at 9.7K. I do like that tomorrow, especially if we see guys resting on the Cleveland side. We got John Wall at 9.5. I do like that against Rajon Rondo. We got Dame Lillard at 8.4. This game could possibly be a blowout, but Portland plays kind of bad, actually. They're not a great team. So they could actually be in this game, which makes me kind of like Dame a little bit more. Eric Bledsoe going up against uh, Patrick Beverly in Houston. I don't like that very much at 7.7. Kyrie Irving, we still got to make sure that he's going to be playing. 7.5 is a good price for him. Dennis Schroeder at 7K. The price is up on Schroeder a little bit. It went up 100, but it was just 6.9. But in a fast-paced game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio defense, I do like Dennis Schroeder tomorrow. CJ McCollum at 6.8. Just like a pretty good play against Dallas. Drew Holiday. I like Drew Holiday at 6.7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. George Hill is going to be out, of course. Rajon Rondo at 6.3 can be a decent play against John Wall. I can see them pushing the pace. Yeah, that's decent play. You've got Mike Conley going to Detroit to take on the Pistons. On a back-to-back, I don't like Mike Conley because his injury situation is just funny. So I don't like him tomorrow. Darren Williams going up against Dame Little defense. I like him at 6K. Rick Rubio. I actually like we can roster point guards against Atlanta. If there's any time to play Ricky Rubio, tomorrow will be one of those times. I like Ricky Rubio tomorrow. Patrick Beverly at 5.7. He is definitely in play for me here. Tim Frazier. I don't like it. No, I don't like Tim Frazier tomorrow. Reggie Jackson against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now we just saw what Isaiah Thomas did. The dude is ailing. The dude is not 100%. Mike Conley, I'm speaking of. So I like Reggie Jackson tomorrow at 5.1K. He had a bad game out, and the price dipped on him just enough to where, I mean, he can sleepwalk his way to 30 points. So I do like Reggie Jackson tomorrow. Now there should be some changes going on, lineup changes, rotation changes going on in the Detroit Pistons camp. So you've got to pay attention to that as well. Shelvin Mack at 4.8 is in play against the Sacramento Kings tomorrow. JJ Barea is definitely in play at 4.5 against the Portland Trailblazers. Darren Collison, that's a no for me. Garrett Temple, no. Tim Hardaway, no. Let's go ahead and pull up everything. Yeah. Right. Let's get everybody in there so we can really see. This is like the complete slate. This is everybody. We were talking about point guards. I don't want to go position by position, so we just do everybody. Now, Anthony Davis at 10.9 against Oklahoma City. That is in play for me. That's definitely in play for me. DeMarcus Cousins against Utah. I don't like that. Even though it's 9.9, I don't like that. I don't. I mean, the price is low enough on him, but it's still 10K. It's 9.9. It's still 10K, and this is up against one of the slowest paces teams in the league at Utah. I don't like that very much. LeBron James, we know he's probably not going to be playing tomorrow. John Wall, we talked about him. Karl Anthony Towns at 8.7 can be a decent play against the Atlanta Hawks, especially if we don't see Dwight Howard. If we don't see Dwight Howard, I love Karl Anthony Towns tomorrow. Jimmy Butler at 8.5. That's a no for me. I don't like Jimmy Butler against the Washington wing defense. Kevin Love's going to be out probably. Paul Millsap, he is in play at 7.9. He's in play for me if Dwight Howard doesn't play. Dwight Howard doesn't play. I love Paul Millsap tomorrow. Gordon Hayward at 7.6 is definitely in play for me tomorrow to bounce back, especially if we don't see Rudy Gay again. I do like Gordon Hayward tomorrow. Dwight Howard, of course, is questionable. Marc Gasol at 7.2. He is in play to rebound a ton against that Detroit front court. There is Andre Drummond at 7.1. I don't like him very much tomorrow. Rudy Gobert at 7K. He's definitely in play tomorrow against Sacramento. Dwayne Wade. I kind of like Dwayne Wade tomorrow at 6.9, going up against Bradley Beal. I like Dwayne Wade tomorrow. And I also like Bradley Beal too. Zach LaVine is in play at 6.8 against Minnesota. Andrew Wiggins, that's a no for me. CJ McCollum. He's in play. He's definitely in play tomorrow. Drew Holiday, Harrison Barnes at 6.2 is in play for me against Maurice Harkless. They're still in that back-to-back, so I do like Harrison Barnes tomorrow. Martin Gortata's in play at 6.1. Mike Conley's a no. We talked about there. Devin Booker now going up against James Harden defense, man. I kind of like Devin Booker tomorrow at 5.9. That's a pretty good price on him. That really is. Eric Gordon is in play at 5.7. This game could blow out. Gorgie Jang at 5.6 is in play against the Atlanta Hawks. I like him. Otto Porter is at 5.6. I don't like that at all. Trevor Ariza at 5.6. He's definitely in play against the Phoenix Suns. Wesley Matthews is a no. Mason Plumlee. I don't care what that says about them being the first-ranked defense against centers. Mason Plumlee is in play for me tomorrow. Ryan Anderson at 5.5. If you want to take advantage of a jump shooter, he's definitely going to be in play. 5.3 for Tyson Chandler. I don't like that very much. Tobias Harris. No, we still want to see what the starting rotation is going to be because they are going to be changing that, I think, in Detroit. If that's the case and John Lure enters the starting lineup, I like John Lure. Zach Randolph at 5.2. No, that's a no for me. Steven Adams, that is a no for me. I don't like him, even though New Orleans Pelicans is 24th ranked defense versus that position. I don't like him. He is still dead to me. Kent Bazemore is dead to me. There's no need to talk about him. JaMychal Green, no. Markieff Morris is in play for me tomorrow at 5.1. Everybody's down on him. Nobody's going to want to play him tomorrow. I'm going to have him in a couple lineups. KCP is another guy that I kind of like a little bit tomorrow at 5K. Taj Gibson at 4.9. No. Tristan Thompson is in play at 4.9 if he does play. I like him. Maurice Harkless at 4.9. He can be definitely in play. Clint Capella is out. Tony Allen, no. Marcus Morris, that price is low, 4.8. And I have a feeling because that price is so low, he's going to be the guy to come off of the bench. So I don't like him very much. Robin Lopez at 4.7. He is definitely in play tomorrow at that low price point. John Lure right here at 4.6 is in play if he's starting against the Memphis Grizzlies. Thabo Sefolosha, no. Barrera, we talked about him. Warren at 4.5, no. Terrence Jones, 4.4, no. Garrett Temple, no. John Henson, Omri Caspi, no. J.R. Smith is dealing with that thumb issue, no. Dwight Powell is in play at 4K flat. I like him. Brandon Knight is in play at 4K flat against Houston Rockets. I like him. Montrezl Harrell, the price is up on him, 700, so I don't like him anymore. I like 3K Montrezl Harrell. Kyle Korver at 3.9. Channing Frye. Matt Barnes at 3.9 is a no. Lil Bruh is a no. Especially with J.J. Barrera coming back, no Lil Bruh. Sam Decker is a no for me. Aaron Baines, Kelly Oubre, no. Nikolai Mirotic is in play for me at 3.8. I like him as a cheaper value play tomorrow. I like him. Dellavedova, I do like him tomorrow if we see the big three sit. I like Matt Dellavedova. Dorian Finney-Smith is a no for me. Buddy Hield is a no. Costa Kufos is a no. Mike Muscala, no. Even if Dwight Howard is out, I do not like Mike Muscala. So there's some meat on the bone. There's definitely some meat on the bone. But we've got to really get in and do our research when it comes to Alex Len at 3.6K. He had a horrible game out last time. People will not be on him. I like him as a value play. So now that we've jumped into our player pricing, got an idea of what we can look for when we're going to be building our rosters tomorrow. What we're going to do now is jump into the point totals. And this is going to give us an idea of where we want to invest our salary. Like, where do we want to put our DK dollars is what we're going to find out as we look into the point totals. All right, so we're going to start in Cleveland, where the Milwaukee Bucks are coming to town, taking on LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. There is no point total for this game because somehow it has been rumored that we may not see the big three tomorrow. So if that's the case, let's just talk about two scenarios. If all three of them sit, I like a lot of guys on the Milwaukee side. I kind of like a mini stack of Milwaukee with Dellavedova, Parker, and Giannis. But if one guy on Cleveland plays, I want that one guy. If Love plays, I want Love. If LeBron plays, I want LeBron. If whichever one of them play, I want them. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to just sit all three of them because Love's still dealing with an injury. The other two guys played it back-to-back, even though Kyrie Irving is a young man and is probably not affected as much as the older guys as the back-to-back. They're just going to rest him anyway. So I would be looking more on the Cleveland side of the ball, even to the Cleveland bums. I'm talking about Mirza Talilovic as well as Malcolm Brogdon is going to be in play for me if the big three sit tomorrow. The next game we're going to talk about is the Minnesota Timberwolves going to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I like a lot about this game. A point total has not been released yet, of course, because we don't know the news on Dwight Howard. Now, if Dwight Howard does play, I do not like him come back off an injury, him or Millsap. But I do like Schroeder. Now, if 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 Dwight Howard sits again, then that means I can fire up Millsap, and I like Schroeder, of course. On the Minnesota side, I think we can roll with their big three whenever we're ready. I like well, wait a minute. I don't like uh Wiggins as much, but I do like Karl Anthony Towns. I do like um Zach LaVine, and I do like Ricky Rubio tomorrow against that Atlanta perimeter defense because it is not good. The next game we're going to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies going to Detroit to take on the Pistons. This is the lowest point total on the slate, is 185 point total, with the Detroit Pistons giving up 6.5 to Memphis. A lot of people are going to be scared off of this game, and they're not going to want to roster guys from this game. But I'm going to be waiting until the news comes out about who's starting on the Detroit side. Because if John Lure is starting, I like John Lure. I also would like to take a flyer on Reggie Jackson, because anytime you got a point guard that cheap playing up against another point guard who's supposed to be really good at defense, but he's kind of hurt, so he can't really play defense very well, that spells a nice night for Reggie Jackson. So I do like Reggie Jackson tomorrow. If I like Reggie Jackson tomorrow, especially if he's still in the starting rotation, because they were saying they're going to mix up the rotation a bit, but I think it's going to come from the front court and not from the back court. So I think Reggie Jackson is safe. Him and KCP are safe. Dude loves KCP, so I'm gonna be taking a look at him as well. On the Memphis side, there's not too much I want to deal with from there. I think Marcus Hall is definitely in play, man. He's a really good player, so he's always in play. But I think there's other spots I can go cheaper and maybe get that same production tomorrow at the center position. So the next game we're going to talk about is the Chicago Bulls in a 207 point total against the Washington Wizards. The Bulls are the home favorite. They are giving up 4 points to the Washington Wizards. Whenever you have a talent on the floor as good as John Wall, going up against somebody as bad at defense as Rajon Rondo, you gotta like John Wall tomorrow. I think John Wall is gonna be an excellent play tomorrow. I like John Wall tomorrow. Also, Bradley Beal is in play for me. I do not like Jimmy Butler very much tomorrow, but I like Dwayne Wade and I like Robin Lopez as a cheap center option. We also can look to Martin Gortat because we know Ian Mahimi is not going to be playing. So I think that, they don't have those useful minutes at the backup center position. So he's going to see a lot of time at center, which also means that Markieff Morris is going to see a lot of time on the floor too. So I kind of like Markieff Morris tomorrow. I know a lot of people are going to be off him because he hasn't had a good game. Well, he had that good game, then he had a bad game, and then he had you know what I mean? So people are not going to be really on him like that. So I do like Markieff Morris tomorrow going up against the Chicago Bulls. On the Bulls side, Rondo's in play. He's definitely in play just because, he does so many things without scoring. And this is a team I think that he can rebound well against. Because Rondo is at his best when he's at around, 8 to 10 rebounds, 13 assists, and he's got 10 points. Like that's like vintage Rondo, and I think that could happen against the Washington Wizards tomorrow. Just because John Wall could be one of the league's best defenders, but he just doesn't exert the same energy on defense that he does on offense, and I just learned that from watching him play, from watching the game. So I do think that we can invest in Rajon Rondo tomorrow. The next game we're going to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder going to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. This is a 209 point total, with the Oklahoma City Thunder giving up 2 points to the New Orleans Pelicans. So the Pelicans are a home dog, which automatically makes me like Anthony Davis a lot tomorrow. I think we're going to see a really good game from him. He's going to brutalize whoever they put on the low post against him. Steven Adams is not going to be enough. Cantor is not going to be enough. Sabonis to start the game, like he's gonna smash. So I do like Anthony Davis tomorrow. On the Oklahoma City side, of course, Russell Westbrook is going to be a big thing, but I'm not paying that much for that dude. I'm just not paying that much for anybody. 12 point whatever K, that's just too much, and that leads me to not really like anybody else on the team. I mean, the only value that I would really see that I could get from this game would be on the low block, and that's where your boy's going to be. So I'm not going to, roster anybody to go up against Anthony Davis and get they shot blocked all night. So I don't like anybody from the Oklahoma City side, but uh, I do like Drew Holiday a little bit. On the New Orleans Pelicans side, I like Anthony Davis. I think those are going to be two really good plays. The next game we're going to talk about is the highest scoring point total on the slate as of right now. It is a 223 point total, with the Phoenix Suns being the home dog, getting 5.5 points from the Houston Rockets. James Harden is definitely going to be a nice play in this game. I don't know if he reaches that 6x value, but I won't be having him because he just costs too much. So I don't know if he's going to be able to reach that 6x value. So that's why I'm not going to be rostering him or even Russell Westbrook tomorrow. So I do like Nene in this game. I think he's still going to be cheap. And he's still going to be a cheap punt option at the center position. He showed tonight that he still can ball. I like Trevor Ariza in this game. I also like Patrick Beverley. I think he's going to be a really nice play. See, it's so, and I explain this to you every time I get these two guys on the slate together at such high price, the Westbrook and the Harden. See, you can kind of guess who is going to benefit the most from Harden being on the floor as far as his teammates. But Russell Westbrook is so erratic that he hasn't even built a rapport with one specific guy where when if he's got 10 assists, he's gave 6 of them to him. Like, it's not like that. Like Chris Paul. If I told you Chris Paul had 15 assists, and then I ask you, well, how many do you think DeAndre Jordan had? You probably say, damn, on DeAndre Jordan he probably was only on 8 of them, because he's developed that rapport. There's nobody on this team that he has developed a relationship with. Oh man, when all else fails, I know I can go to him and he's gonna score the ball. Like, he doesn't think that way. He doesn't play that way, and that's why it's hard to roster players around him, much less him. But James Harden isn't like that. So there are times when I don't have James Harden, but I do have guys on this team because I know he's gonna get those guys involved and he's gonna score too. So I like Patrick Beverley, like I already stated. I think we can look to Nene. Montrezl Harrell is still going to be in consideration, even though that price is up on him a little bit. And I like Trevor Ariza on the Houston side. The Phoenix side, I would attack them, the shooting guard. I'm going to attack. I'm definitely going to attack James Harden tomorrow. I'm going to do it two ways too. I'm going to do it with Devin Booker, and I'm going to do it with Brandon Knight. I like those two guys tomorrow. I think Alex Len can be a nice play off of the bench when you talk about saving some salary to pay up in other spots. And there's not too much else on the Phoenix side that I do like. The next game we're going to talk about is another 9 o'clock game. It is the Sacramento Kings on the second leg of their back-to-back, going to Utah, who is also in the back-to-back. And there's no point total for this game as of yet, because we do know that we've got some injuries on the Utah side. We've got George Hill, who's probably going to be out tomorrow, as well as Derek Favors. Derek Favors was supposed to play last night, but he didn't. So maybe he had some sort of setback, and maybe that's why we don't have a point total. And also on the Sacramento side, we know that Rudy Gay is going to be out or questionable. We're going to be checking on that throughout the day. This is another game that I'm not going to have a lot invested in. I like Gordon Hayward, especially if Favors is out. I think Gordon Hayward is somebody we can go to. I like Shelvin Mack. But on the Sacramento side, I'm not going to Boogie. He's only 9.9K. I'm not going to completely fade him, but I'm not going to build like a ton of lineups around Boogie. Because even at that 9.9K, he's a guy who can like transcend any salary, as he showed tonight. Dude almost dropped the fucking 100 points. But I just don't think on a back-to-back, with both teams being on the back-to-back, being tired and sluggish, I just don't think that we're going to see like that outpouring of scoring and points and shit that we need to see in order to justify, spending 9.9 or 10K on Boogie. So I'm not going to have him in a lot of spots, but I'll probably have him somewhere. The next game we're going to talk about is the Dallas Mavericks. This is the last game on the slate. The Dallas Mavericks going to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Now, Portland is on this is to be the second leg of their back-to-back, but the guys on the team are young studs. We're talking about the guys that are 26, 27 years old. These guys can fucking run all day. And I like Lillard again. I like McCollum again. And I like Plumlee. This has been a solid trio for the better part of the beginning of the season three guys that when they're all up to bat, you can kind of roster them and roster them together in some points, and they will play well. So I do like that as like a mini stack for me tomorrow. I think Mo Harkless is going to be very interesting play too, as well as Ed Davis, because I mean the big situation in Dallas is atrocious. Like there's no big in Dallas who can actually play. There's none. There's none. The one guy that tries is like half-assed, sometime he good, and that's Dwight Powell. So on the Dallas side, I do like Dallas perimeter players. I think if JJ Barea is going to see 20, 25 minutes at that price point he's at, I think he can return value for us, as well as Darren Williams going up against that Portland team defense against point guards. They just don't play the passing lanes well. They don't get the steals. They don't play well on the ball. It's kind of like a free-for-all every time Portland plays. Like, they just run up and down the court, and both teams can score. Even though Dallas is like one of the lowest scoring teams in the league, I think that's not going to be something that we get to easily see in this Portland game. I think Portland is going to win the game, but I think Dallas is going to be able to score and keep the game fairly close, so everybody's going to see the full allotment of minutes. Now, this has been, of course, your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem if you would like to support the show further, because you're already supporting the show by giving me your ear, giving me your likes, your comments, tweets, all of that supports the show. It definitely supports the show. It makes me feel good and gives me the strength and the courage to get up in front of y'all and do this night in and night out. But if you want to further support the show, you can definitely, there's a box that should be over here, maybe over there, but click the box, man, that says support the show. Let it take you wherever it needs to go in order for you to support the show. If you want to copy some DFS Sweatshop swag, if you are a regular member of the 300 Club and in the DFS Sweatshop, you can cop some Sweatshop swag. If you would like to become a full-fledged member of the DFS Sweatshop, you can go to dfssweatshop.com and register there. Upon your paid subscription, you will be getting our daily rankings, our daily cheat sheets. You'll be getting our stacks and correlations whenever we have short slates. You'll be getting the the proven core 4 strategy that really works. Access to our Twitter. If you get a year-long subscription, you will be immediately ushered into the VIP Facebook. We will open the velvet rope and let you right on in there. So many different ways to support the show. I am so glad and honored that you all have decided to come along with me. Remember, I am your DFS Jerusalem, and the number one thing I want you to do at all times is keep it 300.